Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with returning guest Anthony Stokes. We're here to break down It's Fun to Kill People, Issue 1. I feel like this has been in the works for at least over a year. I remember you talking about this like months ago.
Yeah, no, this was probably, it's hard to say, but this probably had the longest, my mentors are like Richard and Pat, and we do a lot of books, and also my boy Chris Moses, like script to completion to Kickstarter, sometimes as fast as 4, 5, 6 months. This I started cooking about this idea probably a year ago. Yeah, so this was the longest production, and it's probably been the hardest in terms of stamina and momentum. It's probably been the hardest book to get to the finish line.
And I mean, it seems like, and if I'm mistaken, feel free to correct me, but it feels like the biggest pivot from what you normally pump out as well. It's more of like a cartoonish, vintage style compared to the other ones, which feel a lot more realistic, or at least in that realm of realism.
Yeah, I always want to pivot. I've very rarely done two genres twice at this point, and I can ultimately see that. Yeah, this is a comedy. This is an outright comedy, and it is a cartoon, in the sense of kind of like a Saturday, in a sense of a Saturday morning cartoon, but also Sunday paper cartoons, kind of Calvin and Hobbes, vignette style. So yeah, it is a pretty drastic departure from the usual. Yeah.
So give us a little bit about it. And I mean, I guess what took so long to cook on it? Was it just getting the idea to paper or finding the right artist?
What's funny is actually I had the idea probably in 2020, probably 2018. No, not, oh my God, let me relax. Probably 2019. And I had somebody told me a story that was kind of similar, not exactly, but I kind of made it all cartoonish and stuff. So I had the idea for about 5 years, and I found the angle of doing a black comedy and doing vignette style, and then it kind of clicked. It kind of went all out, went out from there. Yeah. So as far as what took so long, so we had an incredible colorist, Fabi Marquez, and just because of scheduling, we got 1/3 of the book done, and then the other 2/3 of the book, as far as colors, it just we just couldn't. It was just the thing of she became the most sought after colorist in the industry. It felt like, and it was almost like I didn't feel good being wanting to put pressure on her to be hey, when you get this done. So I was let's just pivot. And then it took a while. She recommended an artist, colorist, and then once we found the colorist, we kind of picked it back up. But I didn't want the fact that 1/3 of the book was colored, and this is the most talented colorist I've ever met. So it's the bar is high, and you don't want to drop off. That was a concern, a drop off in quality, and that's really what took so long. I was I'm not going to rush this and then make a worse product, or I want to be able to show any parts of the book and it look great, and that's where we are. We got Barlow, we got him, and he's done a really good job taking over.
Man, so give us the deets. What is this story about? We have an interesting protagonist, and it just so happens his parents are serial killers.
Absolutely, yeah. So his parents are serial killer. I'm not gonna say too much about his dad. That's speaking of mystery. But his mom is essentially she marries old men and then kind of kills them. They have accidents, and then she gets the life insurance money. And she is keeping Tommy alive, but that's about it. She doesn't really feed him. That's a big part of his how does he needs food. He's being neglected essentially. Mm-hmm. And then in his neglect, he's also very similar to his mother. He's very manipulative and very callous and abrasive. And it's it's hijinks, right? It's to me, it's the idea of Calvin and Hobbes, but turned to 11. It's just making things just that much more absurd.
And I love it too. It reminds me of Dexter's Laboratory. Yep. How it's you have a nerdy looking little dude, and his mom is just super smoking hot. Dexter's mom, please, please. If I was cartoon, please.
That, I mean, that's the body, right? It's like kind of that, I can't think of the name right now, but the Addams Family mom, and then Mr. Incredibles, like it's kind of a trend of that sort of thing. And like, yeah, it's she's I guess she'd be a femme fatale, I suppose, but yeah, she's evil, man. She's crazy.
So what can we expect from the main character, Tommy? I mean, he has a pretty crap life, I guess is the easiest way to put it. I mean, What is this character going to be like, for the reader?
Well, right now, and in issue 1, you're kind of introducing the characters in the world, and he's an ass. He's just a rude, condescending, selfish, conniving, just character, and the title, it's fun to kill people, is essentially his mom and dad kill people. Will he go down the same road, right? Like, is he, that's kind of the question, is will he end up following in their footsteps? And that's kind of the general question for the series.
So I mean, typically with a lot of your other issues, you have like kind of an idea how many issues you want it to be. What are we looking at for this run?
I don't know. I think maybe like 9 or 12. It's always multiple of 3s. But I mean, really, I mean, this is the one that I'd want to do the most. Like, I wouldn't want to have to come up with an ending. I'd want to hopefully be doing something like this for the rest of my career. I really enjoy black humor. Like, dark humor is kind of like my favorite kind. If done right, it's my favorite genre. So I really feel like, and it's also nice because it pushes me as a writer as well, and a creator. This book really pushed me to my limits, because it's easy to scare somebody and make something scary, or it's easier, I should say. But like making people laugh and even telling a story through vignettes as well is also difficult.
So this sounds like a big challenge for you as well, and I love how you're going down the different routes. Where are you at with your other series? I mean, Decay, I know we just finished up a couple months ago, but what about Intrusive Thoughts, Tap or Die, and then you have one with Chris Moses, right?
Esther's Club, yeah. Esther's Club, I think the plan is to release 2 more issues this year. That's the plan. So that's going good. That's going to be another one that's going to be a long running series. It's great that anytime I can, it's cool to work with Chris. Tap or Die, we got Tap or Die 3 is coming next month. For sure, that's a lock. So that's right around the corner as well. Intrusive Thoughts, it's going to need some tweaking and some fine tuning, but yeah, I mean, that's going to be coming out, hopefully next year as well. So we're going to keep it going. I mean, it's at a point where we're coming out, you're making so much stuff, and you have to find time. At least at this point, I have more issues than I have release dates. So I guess it's like,
that's a good thing though, right?
It's sort of a good thing, because you have all this it's better than no issues in all release dates. But it's like, damn, like even this time, like, it's fun to kill people in Tap or Die 3. I couldn't do Tap or Die 2 and 3 back to back, and I had this other comic as well. Like, it's a lot of money. It's kind of just in the ether. It's almost maddening. You're like, yo, I know if I release this, I'll get the money back, but it's like, there's so much that goes into it. And, Kickstarter holds the money for like 2 weeks, which feels like years, and
we have a John W. Part-Time Comics over on YouTube throwing up some horns. Thank you for joining us, hanging out with us in chat. So how do you do it? How do you have the energy to, you work, so you work, do your job, then come home and write? I mean, how does that schedule fit? I mean, you're pumping out so much work. Is that all you're doing?
I don't really have, bro. I really don't. It really is my, like, I don't have much of I'll hang out with my friends a little bit. I think what I always preach is like optimization. And that's the thing, is like, I don't worry about stuff, and this bites me sometimes, but I don't worry about stuff until I have to, like. And also the benefit of having compartmentalized teams, like the team for Tap or Die and the team for It's Fun to Kill People are completely independent of each other. The letter is the same, but everything, I mean, and the letter can get the work done within a couple, like 2 weeks, you'll get a book letter, at least my letter. And so you have these things working independently. It's almost like you kind of just leave it where it's at. You know, you kind of just let it gesticulate. I don't know if that's the word. And then I'm not gonna have to think of every single thing. You know, we're talking about creatively stuff too. So it's like if I don't have a cover concept, I'll just wait till it comes back, back to me. So it's annoying in the sense that you always have a fire to put out. You know, like I found out a new expense I might have to have for It's Fun to Kill People. I found out about that yesterday, you know, but it is also nice to, I'll tell you what though, I'm doing better and better at cons these days. So that's the value, you know, the gratification.
I still remember you going to your first one. Wet behind the ears.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, yeah, I love showing that first image of that first. I didn't even have a tablecloth. I didn't have a tablecloth. It was, and you know what's crazy? That was probably that wasn't even my worst show, honestly. Like, funny enough. Like, I think it's because of COVID. That was like towards the tail end of COVID, like what, into 2021. So it was like, people were just happy to be out the house. And I think they kind of felt sorry I don't want to say felt sorry for me, but they respected the constitution, I suppose, of just being out there with like a super inferior table. Like,
I mean, but take a moment to reflect on that. Like, you kept at it, and now look at your table, right? Like,
yeah,
I
no,
think there's
100%.
a lesson in that.
There was no, and I knew at the time. I walked in here, I was like, you know what? I don't have time to prepare because I did my first comic book, had the Kickstarter. I was like, I don't have time to like do the out. You know, some stuff you just kind of learn. So I was like, I told myself like, you're gonna get your teeth kicked in. But after this, I'm going to have a lot of experience. And like that first con informed so much of my philosophy on life and also in comics, especially. There's so much stuff I learned that day. Maybe the most informative day of my career.
I love that. We have Pat from Space Between getting bricked up in chat over on YouTube.
Yo.
Yeah, welcome.
Speaking of Pat, bro.
So, man, it seems like this has kind of been, I guess, maybe a baby of yours. It seems like 9-12 issues feels like the longest series that you have planned.
Tap or Die, I think, is going to be 15, maybe a little bit longer. The thing is, though, Tap or Die, there's no doubt in my mind I can get to 15 issues. I think there's going to be, whenever you get, the cool thing about having a catalog, right? And this was something I'm aspiring to. If somebody comes in new, you have enough stuff to throw at them that they'll be willing to spend more money, right? And with Tap or Die, I have faith that these campaigns will keep going. But this one is more like there's a danger. There's like a kind of a fear of like, will this find the intended audience? You know, like, is there an audience? I certainly think so. You know, is Kickstarter the right place? You know, would this be better in the direct market? Like, I have no idea. So it's almost like it is more precious because it's like, I know Tap or Die is essentially a set and forget it, you know, in some regards. Get a couple sexy covers, get some good interior art, bang, like you're done. But this was just a lot of effort, a lot of energy and stuff like that. But no, this is definitely my favorite series as of right now.
So what do you think is the secret to setting up a good punchline for dark humor? I mean, like for you, after, you know, writing it and kind of exploring it more, what would be that magic trick for you?
The best punchline, I think, if you can tell, first off, tell a compelling story within and that's it's like 3 to 5 page vignettes is the tell a compelling story within the vignettes, and then if it's not funny, then, you know, at least you got entertained or what have you. As far as the punchline, to me, it was like switching it up. Like, I wanted there to be, I didn't want to just be cynical all the time. That was one thing. It's very easy to just get into a mode of just being cynical. If you read Calvin and Hobbes, you read Giant Homicidal Maniac, it's not just the same tone over and over again. Those things actually kind of change tone multiple times. Like there's times where it gets sentimental, or in Giant Homicidal Maniac, it gets depressing or like misanthropic or somber. And so that's also thing is like changing your pitch up, you know, so that if you have a genuine moment, it catches the audience off guard as well.
I love that. I love that so much. I think right now would be the perfect time. Let's catch the audience off guard and swing over to Kickstarter and check out the campaign, see what all the hype is about. So, I mean, funded about a third of the way. Do you think that is a chunk of, your pre-existing Kickstarter audience, or do you think you're seeing some of the new crowd funnel in?
So I can tell you, I haven't looked up I haven't looked at all the things, and Kickstarter will have more analytics to kind of back all this stuff up. I can tell you though, this is mostly my audience, a majority of it, which is good. I mean, that's honestly the fact that my audience will carry me to $1,000 day. It's a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
100%. Now there are some new people, and I think what I think you'll find for most campaigns is the ratio is mostly old, and then you'll get like new, and then over the course of a campaign, it'll kind of meet. Ideally, it'll meet in the middle. But I can tell you this will get new people. Fortunately.
So what was your reasoning for starting kind of a few days after the start of the month? Like anything in particular?
Bro, I wish I had more ready. Like if it was up to me, I'd have a campaign active every day. But it was just a thing of, you know what? It's just a thing. You know what's crazy is Kickstarter didn't let you edit the rewards the other day, like Monday night. So I would have launched on Tuesday. It's really when you're like a Pat Shan, a Chris Moses. I mean, maybe
Chris is bricked up right now hearing this, right?
I know he's gonna say that. You're just trying to fit as many projects into a calendar year as possible. So I would do more, as many as possible if I could.
This coloring, like you were saying, is just phenomenal too. The way it has that vintage cartoon feeling, but also like, I don't know, like this gleam from the sunset is definitely something that's next level, not vintage cartoon, so yeah. It's like just the mixture of the two, and I'm sure there's some proper terminology I'm missing there, but it's gorgeous. And the way you set the tone too, they're at a funeral and he's like, can you teach me to do that? It's gonna come in handy. Obviously she's fake crying, but
yeah. Well, when it says could you come in handy, right? Like I actually think that you're right, it sets the tone. It's also, I don't know if it's subtle or not, but it's also kind of showing who Tommy is, that he's unknowingly learning from his mother, who he despises, but he also kind of admires her.
And this rain effect is just so perfect too. I love how she's the one with the umbrella and then he's out in the rain.
Yeah, man, it's a gorgeous page. Fabi did her thing, man. Fabi did incredible. I'm curious if you can tell the difference in the coloring. Because if so, I mean, if not, that'd be great. This is probably one of my favorite pages of I think it captures the series. You can also see he's a kid. I think it just captures the spirit of the book. And this would be probably my strongest opening I'd feel personally.
I also love how you have their dialogue narration boxes, different colors as well.
Yeah, it's a nice touch by SK.
Hey, well, it looks like one husband at least died of natural causes, right?
yeah. She didn't get to him yet.
And I really enjoy too how not only does Tommy have like a crappy mother, but a really crappy high school experience jumping up. I mean, we've all been to school, it sucks, but imagine everyone being 8 years older than you. That would be another. And then this has to be DJ, right?
Bro, TJ from
TJ. Why did I say DJ? TJ,
bro,
yeah.
The artist is from like Italy. Like, I sincerely doubt that he drew. I mean, look, that's what everybody says, and I guess, I mean, if it works, it works. I also love that panel, Nobody Loves You. That was one of my favorite parts. And Fabi nailed the texture on it. Actually got some help with Richard for kind of understanding, like, all right, how is it layered? But I also think it kind of sums up you're trying to get, when you're doing vignettes, right? It's not a straight through line. You're trying to tell as much story as possible and get as much themes in as possible. And I think that just says a lot.
You said the word vignette at least 7 times in this interview, and I've never explained it to me. What are we talking about?
A vignette is like a small story, like Looney Tunes cartoon would be a vignette. Calvin and Hobbes vignette. It's like, like miniature stories kind of within a larger thing.
Yeah, you're saying this, and I'm like, all right, well, it sounds cool. It looks cool. I have no clue what it means. I also love how, you know, the nobody loves you right here, and then I love you, mom, like directly underneath it. It's like the perfect like tie-in.
She gave him a rock too.
Oh. But you know, even if this isn't TJ, did I say, is it DJ or TJ? I keep mixing it up. Yeah, even if I would just run with it, man. Fuck it. Recess was a phenomenal show.
It was a good show.
And man, Spinelli, one of my favorites. Spinelli is like one of those awesome characters.
I grew up on Recess. Recess was almost ahead of my time. And then what do you no, this is I also like how Marco, she's just eating, like I said escargot, she's just eating snails.
Yes.
She's eating live snails.
Like, so she really is a psychopath for real.
Yes, absolutely. No, that we need to make it very clear. Jessica is terrible. I mean, you've been reading all my stuff, so it's like two character dynamics are really like kind of my thing. I don't know why it ends up like that, and I feel like this is like this is probably the best character dynamic, these two. He's just emptying out the toaster. Now, could you tell this page was colored by a different person?
I would have to see, I guess. Is this still the original colorist?
That's the original colors, yeah.
Okay, because this kind of, you know, like has that flashback feel to it, I guess. I would say they line up pretty well.
Yeah, I think so too.
I would say they line up pretty well. Especially like just I guess the dynamics of the coloring in this. It's not really notice. If you wouldn't have said anything, I probably wouldn't have been able to, like, that's the thing. If you wouldn't have said anything, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's which is great. That's beautiful.
So we have a couple rewards, a couple add-ons. Let's go ahead and head over to the rewards and check out all the hype. You can get a PDF of this for just $5. How many pages is this expected to be?
24. It's gonna be 24 pages.
And then we have the deluxe size at 12. What all extras are we getting in that?
So I'm going to be doing a podcast, a commentary, a podcast. I'm going to have a special guest, and it comes with, what else? It comes with, call me on the spot, all visual copies of all the covers. It'll have a foreword as well. So just a little beefed up. It'll have extra stuff that's just not available for the rest of it. And then we have the standard print coming in at $15. The variant cover in at $20, and that's a gorgeous cover as well, like her in the nurse outfit. The second variant at $20. And I love the toaster in the bathtub. We also have him cleaning out the toaster in the interiors. Was that intentional? No, I just thought it was funny. I thought it'd just be like a good little sight gag to have. I thought it'd just be a good sight gag. The toaster was just, I needed something to show how hungry he was, and like dumping out the toaster for scraps is like,
while she's eating snails.
While she's eating escargot.
You know, that would probably be the worst snack, like a live snail or whatever, just sucking it from the shell. It makes me want to vomit. We have standard cover and stickers coming in at $25, and I love these little stickers right here. We have Tommy like after an explosion, and mom on the phone.
No, so she's wiping her eye.
Oh, wiping. Okay, sorry, it's a little small for me right there.
It's hard to see. She's wiping her face with a $100 bill in funeral garb. Yeah, no, that's the perfect sticker for her then. We have the early bird bundle. So for $35, you're gonna get 300 pages of content over it. Is this all your work so far? Yes, it's every book. Every book, not the deluxe, but yeah, just the entire library. And then I Wish the Gods Were Dead. Is that the manga one that you were talking about before? Okay, I see. I didn't forget. Somebody's been paying attention. And then we have another digital. This will be the regular price, so $45. You save $10 on that. Awesome pricing in that as well. Metal cover at $50. I think you picked the perfect variant for that one too. That's gorgeous. Yeah, nah, people are going crazy for that one. And then every cover coming in hot at $60. You can get the physical bundle of Anthony's entire collection at $120.
Let me scroll down. See, that's my biggest thing with Kickstarter too. Is this like endless scrolling on the side? It feels
I
like.
don't know why they did that. I don't really get it, but I mean,
I complain about it every time I'm on live. I have to. We have get drawn into issue 2 at 250. So is this going to be them getting killed or a background character? What type of role can they expect?
it's just like a substate, like just be put in the comic at the very least. It's hard to say. Like I have it like thoughts. But I really want to see the feedback from the first one to kind of pick the direction of the second book.
I love that. And these interiors are absolutely gorgeous. So for anyone who might be on the fence about backing, what would you like to say to them directly to kind of help push them over that hump?
It's $15. You got that.
Put that shit in my hand.
You got $15, bro. Here we go. I was curious, because I showed you some previews. What'd you think of what you saw so far?
I loved it. I mean, I have not read a lot of like comedy books, I guess. I don't know why. Like I used to love like the movies, but then I started getting into horror a lot more. But horror and comedy is like hand in hand. Like it's almost the identical setup. So I thought it was great. It's fun to see, someone from like our old group, like kind of venturing into this. I don't think this is probably the first comedy book from our group outside of like what Richard does, I would say.
Yeah, Richard. This is still, I would say, much broader than what Richard would do. Did you laugh out loud? You can be honest.
Did I LOL?
Did you LOL?
I LILMAO'd.
You laughed. I don't know what that.
My ass off.
You laughed. There's some extra letters in there. But yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I just woke up from a nap. No, I thought it was fun. It was refreshing, if anything, right? Like, I think anything that breaks away from the superhero genre. I love superheroes, but anyone who could do that, that in itself feels like a rarity almost. But this in itself is like another rarity on top of that, like rarityception. Yeah. How many comedy books are out there at this point? I think this is probably one of the very few.
I think straight up comedies probably so, right? Like shouts out to Pat. Pat does. I mean, Cthulhu and I Summon Cthulhu. Jeez, I always get that mixed up. I Summon Cthulhu is definitely like a comedy, right? Like, but something like Space Between, something like Destiny York, is that a comedy? It's like romance. It's got this is like a straight up comedy. I think it is rare, and I think I got the perfect artist. Like Marco is just phenomenal. Let me say, our team on this is incredible. So it's Marco Leone, the illustrator, and I really enjoyed talking to him, and we really see eye to eye. We're both very new. And also Tiny, shout out to Tiny, love Tiny, and also Barlow for taking over what is a very daunting task to take over for Fabi, who is, she's incredible. She's amazing. I got my boy Dunn, who helped with editing. SK Stephen Koch did the letters, and then as well as Richard actually was instrumental in the very early stages of the book. He was very helpful in kind of helping to set the tone of the book. And just as life, we both, he got super busy, I got busy, and then I kind of just went in a different direction. Not different direction sounds crazy. I started kind of like feel it out on my own and kind of be like, okay, he kind of guided me, like almost like putting a boat on the water. I got guided away, and then it was like, okay, cool, now I know where I want to go with this.
He was your tugboat.
He's my tugboat. I was thinking like a paper boat, but
damn,
sure.
Wow.
But
sorry, Richard.
I'm saying he nudged me in the right direction, I should say. And honestly, Richard probably deserves an editor credit on all my books. But he was instrumental, man. Love Richard.
No, that is awesome. So everyone watching, be sure to hit up this campaign. Let me put the link in chat. It's 100% free to check out. It's 100% free to share it. Put this on Twitter, put this on Facebook, put this wherever you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. Stokes, you've been on the show before. You know the drill. So for anyone looking to write comedy, what would you say the biggest thing they can do to make sure it goes smoothly would be? Maybe consume more humorous stuff, or I guess what was the trick that worked best for you?
I said this earlier, but for me, I really focused on making really interesting characters and really interesting character dynamics and really interesting story. I approached it as if I was writing a compelling story that has funny moments. You focus on the compelling story, and then you find jokes within that. right? And that's truthfully, because humor is subjective. I find good storytelling is less so subjective. I think it's universal. Every story has to have a beginning, middle, and end. Every setup has to have a punchline. This is just good storytelling. And if you're, because your humor, like, I don't find everything, speaking of Richard, I don't find everything Richard writes as like funny, but I can always look and be like, this is interesting conceptually, at least. Like, oh, this joke really develops the characters, etc. So definitely write a good story and then add the jokes, like I would say,
the one thing about Richard, it always continues to blow my mind whenever I read an issue of his work. He always finds a new way to have like some crazy visual design in it. Like there's always something that is just so mind blowing. It's like, holy shoot, like how'd you do this? How'd you come up with this? And then I forget that he works 20 hours a day doing it. So
he's a genius, man. He's absolutely a genius.
We got Pat over on YouTube saying Tug is crazy. I thought tugboat was like a perfect analogy.
Tug? Well, listen. Pat needs to chill, bro. It is crazy. I just want to get, shouts out to Pat too as well. I don't know who the bigger influence is. I mean, I love those guys, man. It's hard to say. But hopefully Pat likes the book. That's one person I would definitely want to impress for sure. Him and Richard, I really want to impress. So we'll see.
I love that. So last but not least, what are you consuming? When you have time, TV shows, books, video games.
Bro, I've been playing Persona 5 actually.
Really?
I've been playing Persona 5, and the game keeps going. It doesn't stop. And I'm appreciating it. 'Cause I stopped at some point the first playthrough. I was like, man, I don't know. And I played it again. I've been really, you know what? I'm gonna say this. I've been really into revisiting media that I previously didn't like. I rewatched the Dark Knight trilogy. To be clear, I love the Dark Knight. Was cool on Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight Rises I really didn't like. And then seeing it as a trilogy, you really see the through lines. Like, oh no, this is a fantastic trilogy. This is just good storytelling. Burn After Reading, I watched again. Really Dune 1. I didn't understand it. I was like, man, it's like some sand, some worms. People are doing sand meth. I couldn't tell you, but I rewatched.
I think you did the perfect fucking explanation.
Sand crack. I don't know. Got blue eyes, and I rewatched it, and I was like, no, this is great. This is great. So, that's one thing I think I'm gonna start embracing. Like the way that your palette changes, it's like you as a person change as well, and it's just good to go back and check those things out. And like those things weren't flawless, right? But it was it's really rewarding that like I sat down and watched this thing I didn't enjoy, and now there's more fiction in the world that I like. Like
I got to give you props, because I would have been like, man, I'm gonna sit here waste 2 hours of not enjoying the same thing I didn't enjoy last time. Like I love that you're like, nah, dude, I'm gonna revisit it, see if maybe it changes. The Dune's funny. I heard the first time it dropped in theaters, like the original one, they had to give people like a big sheet of words with explanations, because they just go into it. They don't really break things down for you.
They don't give a fuck. And here's the thing also is that like these are also really well celebrated movies. Like it's like the Coen brothers, it's like Christopher Nolan. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name of the dude who wrote Dune. But I mean he's cooking, and people love this franchise. I'm like, okay, cool. Attack on Titan was actually another one that I didn't like, and I actually watched it. I watched it because my friend would shove about it. I was like, oh no, this is my favorite show. So it's like, you know what? There's a reason a lot of these shows are celebrated, and it's like, look, you don't have to agree, but like maybe give it another chance, run it back,
Absolutely. Well, man, I'm happy we had the chance to run it back and get you back on the show. This is probably your third or fourth time, if not fifth. You're up there in the Geekly Hall of Fame for sure.
It had to, man. I can't even keep track, bro.
Yeah.
I really cannot keep track, dog.
Hey, but I'm happy that we're able to keep it fresh every single time. The conversation is always good. And of course, it's New Comic Book Day, guys. So be sure to check out that comic. Link is in the description if you're watching from YouTube. Like I said, be sure to back. If you can't, share it wherever you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. Hope you all have an awesome Wednesday. Most importantly, keep it geekly.